might be the more powerful of the two. She's a life mage, and due to various events that she doesn't like to talk about, she was forced from a young age to become very good with her magic. It's given her more than her share of issues, but it's also made her the best healer I know.
The skin, nerves, and blood vessels are frozen along the left side, Anne said, but there's no serious tendon damage and the muscles are okay. It'll take me 10 minutes or so.
You're getting slow, Varium said.
Regrowing nerves is slow, unless you don't want to be able to feel anything along your forearm. He's just being a dick, Luna said. Very, shut up and let her work.
Varium rolled his eyes. Green light began to glow around Anne's hands, spreading into Varium's arm as Anne's healing magic took hold. It wasn't the first time I'd seen Anne heal Varium, or the fifth, for that matter, and the two of them made it look very everyday and ordinary. All the same, I couldn't help but think of how close it had been. I'd shouted a warning, but if Varium had been just a little slower to get that shield up. There was a chime from the mantelpiece. Luna's head snapped up instantly, but I was already reaching for the item that had made the sound, a small blue-purple disc with serrated edges. I picked it up and channeled a thread of magic through its center. The edges of the disc lit up, and a small figure materialized at the center, 12 inches tall and sculpted from blue light. The shaft was that of a man, middle-aged and straight-backed, with thinning hair.
Verus?
The figure said. His voice was as clear as if he'd been standing in front of me.
How did it go?
My name's Alexander Verus. The Verus part is my mage name. The Alex part comes from my parents, and I go by either or both depending on which society I'm interacting with and how much I like the person I'm talking to. I'm a diviner, which means that I can perceive the sensory data of my short to medium-term potential futures in the form of if-then conditionals. I've also got some serious long-term problems, most of which stem from my history. Mages are split into two factions, and I was originally trained by a particularly notorious dark mage named Richard Drach. The mage I was talking to through the communication focus, Talacid, was from the other faction, the Light Council, the dominant power in magical society, and I'd been working for him on and off for several years. It had been a low-key freelance relationship, at least until last April when Anne was kidnapped and taken away into the shadow realm of her old master, Sagash. I went after Anne and found her, and together we fought our way out. But despite all the battles and dangers we went through, it wouldn't have been even a footnote in the records as far as any other mages were concerned, except for one thing. While I'd been in Sagash's shadow realm, we'd run into my old master, Richard. There had already been rumors of Richard's return. When I told my story, it was treated with the same skepticism as the rumors. I'd only seen someone who looked like Richard. It could have been an illusion or a construct or some other trick. Richard had been gone for 11 years, and as far as many of the light mages were concerned, this was probably just someone trying to trade on his old reputation. But I knew that it hadn't been a trick. It had been Richard, returned after all this time, and worst of all, he hadn't forgotten about me. He'd asked us to join him. It didn't matter that we'd said no. I never came to really know Richard back when I was his apprentice. I don't think anyone did. But there were some things about him of which I was certain. One was that he was very, very patient, and another was that when he wanted something, he took it. In my mind, ever since that April, a clock had been ticking. I didn't know how much time was left on it, but I knew that sooner or later it would run out. One mage who hadn't been skeptical was Talacid. He'd believed the rumors of Richard's return even before I had, and in the months since then he'd begun approaching me